I was going to ask you if you had it on YouTube.
Yeah, I got it on YouTube. But some of these videos I make on Mondays, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, they're on YouTube, but they're hidden because sometimes the content is not for the public. With Sufism, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, there's different levels of teaching. You have a Shariat, which is a basic level. Shariat and Tariqat and Hakikat are the three levels that you can talk to people about without being blamed by the Muslims. But then there is a level of Sufism called Marifat, which is the inner essence of the teaching that is not for the public. Because in the past, you had Sufis who were killed. Every tradition has an esoteric side that's not liked by the mainstream. The Jews hate the people of Kabbalah. The Jews say, them Kabbalists, they going to hell. The Sufis say, that Kabbalah, that's my brother. So, in Islam, most Muslims, if they don't know, they think Sufism is something totally outside of Islam. Because it kind of looks contrary to what they're practicing. Give you one example. Holy Quran says Allah is established on his throne in heaven. Sufis say the throne of Allah is the heart. It's a big difference. Allah is on his throne up in the sky, or is Allah established inside of your heart? So they say, oh, astaghfirullah, you can't say Allah's inside of you. Then Prophet Muhammad said Allah doesn't fit in the heavens or the earth, but he fit in the hearts of those who believe in him. So he's telling you that the true place of worship is inside of the heart. The whole Sufi path is an inside job. It has nothing to do with the outside world. You might have on I wear African clothes because I live in Africa, but a Sufi might have on a t-shirt and jeans. Might be smoking a cigarette. You don't know who he is. He might be as high as the angels in Starbucks somewhere downtown. You think he's just an average guy from Africa. He might be saying 10,000 mantras at night. You never know. So, even my master, Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, he says a true Sufi should hide themselves from the people and don't let the people know that you're seeking that inner esoteric knowledge. So, we've been teaching this writing from Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba. It's 100 verses. It's called Inspirations of Love, Ilham Wadud, and we're on the 80th verse. So I wanted to finish the writing and then have you guys ask questions, or if you want, you can ask questions first and then I'll finish the writing. It's up to you. What do you think?
I mean, if anybody has any questions,
I'll ask when I have one.
Okay. Okay. Because the writing is quite incredible. Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, we call him a sheikh, but in reality, he's more like an African avatar. The sheikh is like a Krishna or a Buddha or a Prophet Muhammad in West Africa, Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba. That's why a lot of the West Africans who are from Senegal, they will not tell you about him because they don't know your level of esoteric knowledge. My personal experience, I saw a picture of the sheikh in an African art store, and I asked the owner of the store, who was that? The man started crying. Basically, he told me, if you want to know about him, I don't know enough English, you have to go to my country and they'll tell you about him. That's how I ended up in Senegal. Because his station is so high, if you talk to the mainstream Muslims about him, they'll say, oh no, how is that possible? He said Prophet Muhammad used to come and sit with him knee to knee and talk to him like, hey, how you doing? And the Muslims say Prophet Muhammad is buried in Medina, but he said Prophet Muhammad used to come and talk to him like me and you talking in broad daylight. So some people, they don't want to hear that. It's too esoteric. One famous story of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, he was in a village called Durabel teaching disciples, and he lived in like a straw hut with a tin roof. I went to the village to go see the hut, everything. You can go over there. The disciples would go and sit in the straw hut and learn with Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba. One time they came to learn, and he came and covered the door with his clothes, was covering it, wouldn't let the people see in the hut. This went on for 15 days. He said, no, come back. After the 15th day, the Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba, he said, okay, you guys can come in now. They said, Sheikh, what happened? He said, Prophet Muhammad was in the tent with me for 15 days leading me in Salah. He said, if you would have came in the hut, the light was so bright it would have blinded your eyes. He said, that's why I couldn't let you come in here for those last 15 days. If you came in, you would have seen his light, it would have blinded you. So I did not let anybody come in there while he was in there praying with me for 15 days. How can you explain that? Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba and so anyway, let's go to the last 20 verses of this writing. Verse 81, he says, when you are stung by the scorpion of adversity, take care of yourself and the wound with forgiveness and peace. So he's saying if you go through life and you have some type of trials or tests dealing with an adversity that comes from people, forgiveness, he's saying to forgive the person and practice peace. Sometimes it's better to have peace than to fight it out. You know, Dave Chappelle had a skit called When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong. Sometimes it's 5 people coming, they talking trash. Sometimes you just need to say peace. Don't bark back at 5 brothers and you by yourself. This is what the Sheikh is saying. If you get stung by the scorpion of adversity, take care of yourself by giving forgiveness to those who may have caused adversity and practice peace. Verse 83, if you are attacked by the snake of animosity, defend yourself by giving good advice and giving charity or giving something away in generosity. How would you define animosity?
Resentment, grudges,
Somebody holding
tension.
Bad intention.
Bad intention?
Malice.
Huh?
Like some sort of malice.
Malice. So the Sheikh is saying if somebody is attacking you with animosity, or like animosity saying, wow, he got them lapis beads. Wow, I don't have those lapis beads. Animosity is like, they might see you with something that they want and they don't have it, and then they don't want you to have it. So the Sheikh is saying if that happens, give something away in charity. Give something away in charity to fight the animosity. Yep. Verse 84. If you are intoxicated with the wine of wrath and envy, quench your drunkenness with the water of endurance and asceticism, so that you will be bestowed favor. So he's saying if you get angry with anyone, or if you yourself are practicing envy towards someone, quench your drunkenness with the water of endurance and asceticism, so that you will be bestowed favor. So 2 things here. He's saying he's associating wrath and anger with being intoxicated. Why do you think the Sheikh will say that?
Because you're not in your right state of mind when you're angry.
You're not in your right state of mind when you're angry. So he says anger is a type of intoxication. One Sheikh said that anger is the guru of sin. Anger is the guru of sin. If you get angry, it's going to cause you to do something that you will regret. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, says, if you get angry, he said to go make a wudu, wash your hands. First he said if you get angry, Prophet Muhammad said sit down. And he said if sitting down doesn't get rid of the anger, he said to lay down. And I heard a Sheikh say just last weekend in Brooklyn, you ever see somebody laying down arguing with somebody? It's kind of difficult to...
Yeah, you gotta sit up.
Yeah. He said that. He said even when you get angry, the first thing you want to stand like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad said if you get angry, sit down. He said if that sitting down doesn't cause you to not be angry, then Prophet Muhammad said lay down. And the Sheikh gave an example. You never see nobody laying down arguing with somebody. Unless they're just really drunk. Like, oh man, come on, get out of here.
That's so true.
Huh?
It's so true.
Yeah.
Because if you laying down, argue, and the moment you get angry, you go sit up. Like, yo.
Yeah, right. Because, you know, if you arguing with somebody laying down, they might just kick you in the grill and just shut up, fool, and get kicked in the mouth. But he says also endurance, meaning try to forbear whatever is coming at you. And he says asceticism, which is, I have a definition for asceticism, but how would you define what is asceticism? To be an ascetic.
To practice like how Buddha practiced, not eating, sleep deprivation, meditation, isolation.
How can all of that help you when you're angry?
Gives you some time to come back to your right mind.
Verse 85, when your lower self refuses to submit and wants to turn back toward profane passions, fight it with fasting. Whoa. This is serious. When your lower self refuses to submit to the higher self and wants to turn back to like greed, lust, anger, envy, fight the lower self with fasting. Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba is huge on fasting. One Sheikh Baha'u'llah said, the lower self is like a starving dog. He said, tie the dog of the lower self up at the door of the kitchen. If you got a pit bull and don't give it no food, in a matter of time, even a pit bull will get real weak. Starve a pit bull for 3 weeks, he's not attacking nobody. He's starving, he don't have energy. So he's comparing the lower self to this type of wild animal. The Sheikh is saying, you need to starve the lower self and it won't have as much energy to fight against you. So he says, when the carnal soul, the lower self, refuses and wants to fight you, fight against it with fasting. Verse 86, if you familiarize the lower self with fasting and worship, it will become obedient and will not keep contesting you. How do you think about that? If you fight the lower self with fasting and worship, like zikr, mantra, studying inner teachings, he said you can subdue the lower self with those practices.
I think that when you fast, in my personal experience, what happens is that immediately you become more aware. Your state of consciousness expands because now you're thinking, okay, do I have the energy to give to this? Do I have the energy to give to that?
Prioritize your energy.
Yeah, so I think it immediately expands your consciousness, and when your consciousness is expanded, truly you seem for some reason to engage less in lower frequency behavior.
I would say so. And you want to add something?
No, I said I agree.
Okay. He says, do not fight the lower self without the use of fasting, self-denial, whenever the damaging effects are seen. Whenever you see the lower self trying to damage you, he says, do not fight it without self-denial and fasting. So, I mean, the guy goes to the buffet and eats 10 pieces of chicken. Why not eat 5 the next? Just cut. One of Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba's famous teaching, he says, to reach enlightenment and self-realization, summarize his whole teaching, he said, eat less, sleep less, and talk less. Eat less. Matter of fact, Cheikh Ahmadou Bamba was a breatharian. They never saw him eating food.
Did he drink water?
They never saw him eat or drink. This is unexplainable. They never saw him eat or drink, and they never saw him go to sleep. They never saw him lay down and sleep. It's unexplainable. Even my Sheikh, his son, my Cheikh Sufi, the disciples said they never saw him sleep at night. He never went to sleep. They never saw him sleep. Yeah.
Well, was it that he didn't have to sleep because he was a projection of a higher consciousness?
Facts.
It wasn't, I don't think it was a physical being. I think it was a manifestation of something being projected onto us.
A light being.
Yeah.
Extreme. Listen, my Sheikh Sufi had a younger brother named Shaween Shuaibu. They were both high masters. Shaween Shuaibu used to come see my sheikh around 3 or 4 in the morning. One night, the story says that he came to see Serene Sayu and he was in a hammock with his eyes closed, just sitting there. His brother came up and said, "Salaam alaikum, Sheikh, I know you're not sleeping." And Serene Sayu said, "How do you know I'm not sleeping?" His brother said, "If you go to sleep, the heavens and the earth will crash together." Now, what kind of being is this that his brother told him, if you go to sleep, the heaven and earth will crash together? This is what we call Insan Kamil. Each and every one of us has a seed of the perfected being inside of us that has to be cultivated. This is what we call the perfectibility of the human being. In Tasawwuf or Sufi teachings, we believe that the human being in a perfect state is one with Allah, and that you can become perfect by finding a master who was perfect. As a matter of fact, the highest teaching says that you're already perfect. You just forgot that consciousness of perfection. Because Allah is perfect, a perfect being does not create a being that's imperfect. People say, "Oh, there's no such thing as perfection." Then you don't know this Allah that we worship. Can an imperfect artist paint a perfect picture? No, if the artist is not perfect, he can't paint a perfect picture. But if the artist is perfect, he's going to paint a perfect picture every time. This is how God is. God is perfect. Buddha says 99% of your problems only exist in your perception of the problem. 99% of your problems only exist in your mind. It's not a real flaw in the universe because Allah is perfect. If Allah keep the 9 planets in orbit, hey son, I keep planets in orbit. If Allah keep the 9 planets in orbit, and they rotate in perfection, then don't you think it's possible that your life is probably perfect, but your conception of what's happening in life makes it seem imperfect?
La ilaha illallah.
It's very possible that everything in your life is perfect, but your mind, according to Buddha, is creating an illusion of what happened, and now you're thinking that that's imperfect. In Islam, we have the statement, La ilaha illallah. God is the only reality. Allah is the only reality. So if Allah is the only reality and there's nothing but Him, where is the room for imperfection? The imperfection only exists in your mind. So you can get to this level where the Sheikh was of Insan Kamil, and in Arabic it's called Nafs Kamalia, or the 7th station of the soul, by studying the practices to remove the concept that you're separate from God. One master told me the only thing separating you from Allah is the thought form that you're separate from God. Elijah Muhammad said they were sticking pins inside the heads of the babies, meaning they're giving them a false teaching that God is outside of themselves. As soon as you can get somebody to think God is in the sky, you took all their power. That's why the people don't like the mystics telling people that they're God, because then you're giving the people the power back. Because Allah has power, and when you tap into that source, he who has seen me has seen the Father. This is in the Bible. They're trying to give you the highest teaching, but they keep molesting them kids in the church, so we can't go there no more. No, let me get back on this topic. Allah forgive me. Fight the soul with fasting and asceticism. When your carnal soul refuses to submit, turn it back. Okay, fight it with fasting. We said that. 86. If you familiarize the soul with fasting, you can defeat the soul, and also using ascetic practices. Do not fight the soul without using fasting. Okay, 88. The soul will never change or profit without strict discipline and starving it through fasting. He gave like 5 verses on this fasting. The soul will never change without strict discipline or starving it through fasting. Enduring hunger is indeed the principal means used by the saints of God. You see some of them sadhus in India?
Mm-hmm. Skin and bones.
Come on. They going in the right direction. They eating less, sleeping less, talking. Them sadhus in India be eating a leaf. 1 leaf a day type, living off of prana in the air. This is what he's talking about. Enduring hunger is indeed the principal means of the saints of God, as reported by the holders of insight. So he's saying saints around the world are practicing this practice of ascetic not eating or hunger. This is probably why I want to tell y'all a story so bad. My sheikh, one time, he stopped eating for months. Months. He didn't eat nothing, didn't drink nothing for months. I remember I was in Africa and they said, the sheikh not eating, the sheikh not eating. He didn't eat nothing for months. What's going on? I shouldn't say this on camera. Another sheikh came and another sheikh went and sacrificed a lamb and brought it to the sheikh. It said, Bismillah, would you eat this? In front of witnesses, they said the sheikh turned into like a lion, was eating the whole lamb, the bones and everything, crushing the bones with his teeth in front of people. We was like, I said, what happened? They said, something happened. We brought him the lamb. He ate the whole lamb and crashed the bones. He turned into like a lion and ate the bones. These people in Africa got some stuff, man.
Yeah.
One of these kids is not like the others. So enduring hunger is indeed the principal means of the saints in reaching realization. 90, verse 90, your exercise of authority over the lower self can lead you to enlightenment. Wait a minute. Your exercise in authority, you want the red pill or the blue pill, over the lower self can lead you to enlightenment. What does that mean? Your control over the lower self can lead you to enlightenment. What does that mean?
Destruction of the ego gives you
all desires,
the ability to see things as they really are. As Allah sees them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, destruction of the ego so you can see with the eyesight of God.
I would say on transcending the necessity for an ego, destruction is like, it is what it is with an ego. It's just like more about transcending the necessity for it and kind of like being aware of how to use it if you need it at all.
So the Sheikh says that there's 4 enemies between you